Welcome to the Heated Rant Show. The topic of this video is about teachers being armed in the classroom, which I think is a good idea myself. But you have a lot of people that want to take away our Second Amendment rights to bear arms, or you have some people that believe that that only applies to muskets. But what the Second Amendment is about is the American citizens being equipped and trained to take back over the United States of America if ever a foreign nation or our own government is no longer, how do I want to put it, have become tyrannous, you might say, or against the people. And people don't seem to understand that, even though our army is massive and has plenty of toys that could probably kill millions of us before we even knew it. But it's our job to be armed and trained to stand up to that if we have to. And people don't realize that. But in recent years, it hasn't happened in quite a while, but now we see basically crazy people attacking our schools. And is it better for teachers to be unarmed and not be able to do anything and just die waiting for the police to show up? And most people would probably say, oh, well, you got the police. But the thing with the police is first they have to show up. Then they have to assess the situation and come up with a game plan. Decide if they have enough men. Decide if they have enough firepower. And then they have to figure out how are they going to attack the situation, basically. And that takes some time. A good couple hours could go by, and it probably wouldn't take that long, but at least a good chunk of time could go by, and a lot of people could die waiting for the police to figure out what they're going to do to combat the situation. But if teachers were armed and able to defend the school, defend the students, and defend themselves, I think a lot less people would die in that situation if it was to arise. And I'm not talking about teachers, being like an old cowboy keeping the gun at their hip. It would be kept in some sort of safety or lockbox somewhere in the classroom. And the only person that would have the key or access to their particular box is the teacher. And he wouldn't be able to open that box without some sort of alarm triggering to say that that box has been opened or somebody's messing with it, or in case of an emergency. And the teachers would have to be properly trained in that firearm and also have a background check to own the permit for the gun, even though the gun would be the school's property. They would have to have the proper training and the permit to own a gun. And if they couldn't pass that background check, then they really shouldn't be a teacher in the first place, I'm sorry to say. So, and sooner or later, the gun in the classroom would be the same as having a fire extinguisher in the hallway. It would be there. You wouldn't know it or pay attention to it. But if the situation arises that you would need such a thing, it would be there for you to use to defend yourself, to defend the students, to defend the school, to save as many lives as you can. And of course people think more guns, more problems, but we're a culture deeply rooted in guns. America, that's how it was founded, for the good, the bad, or the ugly of whatever's happened throughout our history. Guns have always been part of our history. And for us to just tell a certain population, or have a certain population tell us that we can't have our culture or what is rooted in our culture, they're just, to me, they're fools, you know, fools and idiots that don't see the benefits that outweigh the bad that can happen with a gun. Because as far as what a gun is a tool. A gun is like a baseball bat to a baseball player, or a basketball to a basketball player, or a plow to a farmer. It's no more good or bad than who possesses it and who uses it, you know, and we can always hope that guns aren't used for evil, but we know that that's not true. You know, and we know that that idea would never happen. I mean, and you have to look at it like from England. England banned guns, and they pretty much took all the guns away from their citizens. And now what do? They roam the streets with knives and butcher knives, you know, killing each other. You know, I'm not saying that that happens on an everyday basis in England, but, you know, if people aren't able to kill people one way, they'll figure out another. So banning guns really isn't going to solve. It might solve a little bit of some problem, but it isn't going to solve a total problem overall. Excuse me. So banning guns when it's part of your culture is, to me, is not the answer. To me, the answer is embracing what the culture is, training everybody to own a gun, to maintain a gun, to have a gun, to have pride in your country and realize and be taught what it's all about to have the right to bear arms. You know, like I say, when the first time I ever heard that the right to bear arms was everybody should have a musket in their house, I just about fell out of my chair laughing, because that's not what it's about. It's about having the same firepower as our police. It's about having the same firepower as our military. You know, because that's basically what we are. We are the private military of this country. We are the private protectors of this country. And if need be, we are to stand up and do what has to be done. Whether it's take over our government and reinstate our Constitution or reinstate our rights, you know, we're to do that. Or whether it's a foreign power that thinks they can invade our country and take us over, we're to stand up and be armed and take care of that. I mean, and that's the main reason we haven't seriously been invaded ever. You know, there's some stories of a group coming out of Canada at one point and burning down the White House. But other than, you know, stories of small groups, as far as a foreign power coming into this country, invading it, actually taking over it, and saying, okay, this is ours now and you will do what we say, that has never happened since the founding of this country. And us being able to bear arms is the main reason that has never happened. You don't think Japan, after they bombed Pearl Harbor, could have came into, you know, brought their navy up to California, ran a raid on San Francisco, and then sent people ashore to start trying to take over this country? They certainly could have. But they knew that every citizen in the United States was able to bear arms, and knew that it would take more than probably the Japanese Navy to come in and even remotely start to take over our country. You know. And that's basically my idea about it. It's why we need to embrace our culture, embrace our guns. Every able-bodied person should be trained and have a gun, be trained in safety, be trained in maintaining a gun, and have one in their house. You know, you see what happens like in Chicago when this is a huge gun-free zone, but yet more people in Chicago die from gunfire every year than any other part of the United States. You know, why? Because nobody's allowed to have guns. People outside these zones are allowed to have guns, and then they sneak them in, and next thing you know, they're having big gunfights in your city. You know, because nobody's allowed to have guns there. You know, that would happen less and less if they were able to have guns. As soon as a gunfight would start, somebody else would pull out their gun and shoot the person that was trying to cause trouble. But anyways, I think teachers having guns in the classroom it's a very good idea, and if their school is ever attacked, they would have the means to defend themselves and stop the attack. And then when the police got there, if the attack was still going on, they could jump in and take over, or they could clean up the mess at the end. And like I said, after time, it would be no different than having a fire extinguisher in the hallway. They would be in a safe, secure box. Nobody but the teacher or the principal and superintendent could get into the box. Have some sort of alert system that somebody's messing with the box. If there isn't a call for there to be anybody messing with one of the gun boxes, and your kids would be in a safer America and in the safest schools in the world if we were to adopt teachers having guns in the classroom. Okay, well, that's my rant about this, and if you have something to comment about it, certainly make a comment. I'm all for discussing this subject, you know, and if you like my videos, certainly subscribe to my channel and give the video a like. And if you want to see more of my videos, there's a couple popping up to the other way. That way. Videos are that way. You know, hit the round circle to subscribe. Watch my other videos to, you know, enjoy my entertainment. Okay, I'm out of here. Goodbye.